What's up, Yee Yee Nation?
Hey guys.
This is Hayden.
And this is Parker.
And we are trying something a little bit new. We've never done anything like this. You may have heard a bunch of podcasts from Granger and everyone else from the team, but we're going to take a shot at it. We've been working on something like this for a little while. It's going to be a little bit different. Today it's going to be Parker and myself. And if you're familiar with the different personalities at our brand, you'll see Tyler a few times. You'll see Brian Kimball, who does video. You'll see a little bit of everybody. So we're going to get this started today with just myself and Parker and go from there.
Yeah, so we wanted to give people a little bit of idea of what's going on at the farm, give them a more in-depth look at maybe what we're doing, what's going on behind the scenes, and start the Yee Yee Podcast that we've been talking about forever. And we've wanted everything to be perfect and everything to fall in place. And as we both know, in the job, in the profession that we're in, that never happens. So we just turn on the camera and turn on the mics, and we're just going to do it.
And we have no idea how this is going to go. We haven't really gone through anything. We've been working on some of the audio and things like that, but Parker and I have not run through any of this. So this is all off the cuff. So bear with us a little bit. And yeah, we hope y'all enjoy it. So today we had our winter launch. This is the first time we've ever done a winter launch. If you're familiar with our brand, we do seasonal launches. We've done fall, we've done spring, we've done summer. And we decided to do a winter. And I remember whenever Parker came to me a couple months ago and wanted to do the winter. And at first we were going back and forth if we wanted to do it or not, because a lot of the winter stuff seems like it is the same type of products as the fall. And winter we decided was going to be after Christmas. So like, oh, will people buy? Will people still, will Christmas still be too soon before? Or are we going to get any purchases? And we had an awesome day.
Yeah, it was great. This was kind of part of what we wanted to share with you guys. And a lot of people have been like, what goes into the planning of a launch, and how do you come up with the product ideas, and how do you decide when you're going to do launches, and gave you the idea. So that's kind of what this is about, is to just kind of be more transparent with you guys. So I approached Hayden probably sometime in the fall. Tyler and I had met and decided to add one more launch. So we have 4 now, winter, spring, summer, and fall. And yeah, it went really well. We didn't have that much time to prepare for it, and it was like right after Christmas, so we didn't know how people were going to react to it, but it was one of our best days ever.
Well, and what we're leaving off is that Brian, our video guy who's off camera, Brian was supposed to come and film a bunch of stuff. We were supposed to get a bunch of content, and my man got COVID a little bit before, and so he ended up coming in this week. He tested negative. It's all good. But he came in this week, and he crushed it all week. And we've just been filming so much video, doing so much content for the last week. So shout out Brian. I don't think he's slept in a while. He's been sleeping on couches at the Yee farm, and then last night he slept at Parker's. And so I think he's ready to get back to College Station and get into his bed. Yeah. So
it could not have been worse timing for him to get COVID at the time.
It was the worst week.
Yeah.
It was literally the worst week that he could get COVID of the entire year. So, so it was great. And we want to thank everybody for the support. And man, it's crazy. Every single one of these launches just gets bigger and bigger. And we keep thinking that it's going to level off or do something. And they just keep getting bigger. And we had more orders than we've ever had today. And we had a ton of first-time customers, and Yee Nation is growing. And that's crazy, because I've been here a little over 2 years, and the growth has been insane. And Parker can say even more because he's been here longer. Tyler is the one that started all of this along with Granger, and they've seen the growth since day one. So it's all really crazy. So we appreciate it. We have a reward program, so tell your friends about it. Every time you tell your friend about Yee Apparel and they purchase, you get free Yee Apparel. So it's on our website, yee.com. A lot of people ask about our relationship and our friendship and how far we go back, and it's funny. So I recently moved in with Parker last week, and I'll keep y'all updated on how that goes. But I had someone DM us the other day and say, they DM'd me and they were like, why are you always with them? And I was like, I just moved in with them. And someone goes, that's not going to end well. And I was like, I don't know if it's going to end well or not.
Yeah, I think it just depends on your friendship. I definitely think a lot of people couldn't do it, but I think a lot of people couldn't work with family like I work with Granger and Tyler and three brothers. So I think it just depends on your personality type. And nice.
There's never a good time to open the beer in the middle of a podcast. Keep going. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I think we work well together, and we've known each other since high school, and our personality types have always gotten along, and obviously we made it this far working together. So I think we stay out of each other's way pretty well at the house so far after like a week.
6 days in, yeah.
Brian is probably moving here in April and has talked about moving in as well. It's not confirmed, but that's going to be interesting if we have a videographer and then 2 people with the company all working together. We got to turn off work at a certain time of night.
Yeah. Yeah, and we all have different hobbies, and Parker does golf and piano, and I watch a lot of sports, and I enjoy cooking, and as many of you have seen on my Instagram story, I recently started raising quail, and so I've been doing a lot of different things, so our hobbies could not be more different, even though we come to work and have the same goal every day. So Parker and I met when we were probably going into sophomore year, I guess it was sophomore year, and I will never forget. So I grew up in Clifton, Texas, which is about 40 minutes west of Waco, Texas, and I'll never forget we were doing summer workouts, and there was some new kid, skinny, with a little curly fro, and I'll never forget we were doing like circuits or something, and we finished, and you always had to take a knee after you were done and wait until everybody in the group was done. It's like a high intensity workout. And I will never forget my entire life, some kid that I've never seen in my entire life, I've never talked to him or anything, just some new kid to school, looks over at me and says, "Nice cut off sleeves." Because I had cut off sleeves, and he was the only person in the gym that had sleeves on. And I guess where Parker was from, you didn't cut off your sleeves. That was a weird thing to do.
I still don't remember saying that. I think you're over exaggerating.
No. He said it.
Yeah. I was a little cocky when I came into a small town. I came in from a big school in Dallas and then moved to a really small school near Waco, Texas, and moved out on a ranch, and that's how I met you.
Yeah, so we graduated high school together, and then he went to A&M, and I went to Texas Tech for a few years and ended up at Tarleton, where I graduated. He graduated from A&M. We have a lot of people ask us about college and what we did. It's kind of funny. I don't know about you. I don't think I use anything that I learned. I have 2 degrees, and I don't think I use either of them for anything that I do here. Do you use much of yours?
I think I use the relationships that I've built, and the Aggie network is strong, and I feel like that's definitely going to come in handy. I don't think I could point to anything specific from a class that I learned, but I still think
fair enough.
I still think you can make the argument. Do I think that you should go into hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt to get a college education when, I think what's most important is, like we talk about, are you a decent human being, and do you have a good work ethic, and are you going to excel where you are? Then I think the sky's the limit. So I think that, I was very, very fortunate to have, my parents pay for my college, and so I think it can be beneficial to go, and you learn a lot of social skills, and you learn how to network, and I think that's kind of invaluable, and it's kind of hard to put a number on that. But no, I would not say that on a day-to-day basis at Yee Yee Apparel I use any exact skills that I learned in college.
Yeah, people always say I didn't use anything that I learned in college, but I think that we like to think of college as like the economics class or the calculus class or whatever you took. And in reality, there were so many more things. I learned time management because I didn't have much, and I struggled in college. But it's funny because I come from music industry before this, and people are always like, "Oh, you're still in the music industry. You work for Granger." And yes and no. I do help with some of the day-to-day smaller tasks with Granger, and I really enjoy that. But more than anything, Parker and I do a lot of e-commerce, and it's kind of like an ecosystem. There's Granger and his music career, and then there's Yee Yee Apparel, and I don't know where, but at some point they intersect, and we both do a little bit of everything, but we're basically focused on Yee Apparel more than anything. And so I would say that I don't know about you, I'm probably about 80% e-commerce and marketing, and then about 20% Granger. But I remember whenever I first got the job, or sorry, I'll backpedal a little bit. I remember whenever I first interviewed here and I met with you guys, and of course I've known Parker forever at this point. I'd known Tyler somewhat, obviously nothing like I know him right now. And then I'd been around Granger a few times, but not a ton. And I'll never forget coming down here to the farm and sitting here. And I remember I was so scared to be out of the music industry. And remember, this is before COVID hit and touring has just been shot, and the poor music industry has just taken it on the chin. But yeah, I remember being scared. And now 2 years and 2 months later, I can't believe that I was ever worried to be in e-commerce. And I guess that is to say too, is I'll never forget whenever I sat down, Parker said, here, watch this video. And it was a 2-hour YouTube video, and it was how to run Facebook ads. And man, I've got a short attention span, and I really did not want to watch this video. But I remember watching that video and learning so much. And a lot of what you and I have done, and that I think that is symbolic of everything that we've done at Yee Apparel, or that you've done especially, is that we've taught a lot of this ourselves. Like, we didn't go to college for e-commerce. I know I didn't, and I know you didn't either. And I really didn't even go to college for marketing. We kind of just figured a lot of this out as we go, and we're still figuring it out. Like, a lot of y'all say that, this is awesome or that's awesome. Yeah, it may be, but we're figuring this out. Every launch, every month, every new thing that we do is an experiment for us still to this day, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's like, I'll talk to some of my friends' parents, and they just they cannot comprehend that I have a job, running the day-to-day of a company without a degree in business or a degree in marketing.
Right.
Like, they're like, how is that possible? Like, their brain cannot get around the fact that, you can have a job in something and not have a degree in it. But there's just so much free information out there that you can literally teach, like, literally type in anything that you want to do on YouTube. And, a lot of people will say, like, I have a PhD in persistence and consistency, and just doing it over a long period of time and not giving up on it. And a lot of it's just having emotional intelligence. I think that's really underrated. I think that's what, being raised in a household where you're socialized, and then going to college too, and being involved in sports or any type of or band, or being in a club, or just being around other human beings, you learn emotional intelligence. And I think that's the most important thing in marketing, and is, that kind of segues into one of the things that we were going to talk about, which is just like building the business in general. And it's like, we were very fortunate to have Granger, who already had eyeballs. It's like, that's one thing that you needed as an audience, but it's like, have a product that's a quality product that people care about and want to buy, and then market that in an interesting way, get it in front of eyeballs. And I think a big part about marketing correctly is to not have a degree in marketing where you're overthinking everything and doing everything by the book. And it's just like, dude, what would make me give a crap about this product if we just communicate to our customers like we communicate to our friends very informally, and something that's going to make them give a crap when, there's a million other brands out there. So
yeah, I've been quoting it this past week, because I read it again, and it's never been more relevant with our winter launch and us gearing up for everything. But one of my favorite quotes that I heard early on in my career is that people don't buy from brands, they buy from people. And so I run all the marketing for the most part. We both help each other with a lot of things, but I tend to do most of the marketing. And so anytime you're DMing Instagram, Yee Apparel Instagram, 90% of the time it's me that's seeing it. And what we try to do so much that I see other brands not care about is build a community. And we have a Yee Nation Facebook group. That's how we build a community. Speaking on the Instagram DMs, like, I try to respond or at least like or acknowledge in some way every single Instagram DM that comes through, because we've had people that DM us and say, I've just gotten some of the craziest messages about people that say, Yee Apparel literally saved my life. Like, the content that y'all are making and the shirts that y'all are making. I met someone, I got one the other day that someone said, I met someone in the Yee Nation Facebook group, and we're dating, and we've been dating a year now. And man, I was really struggling with my life before I met this girl. And man, that was just the most fulfilling thing that I think I've received in a long time. And it's cool to know that we're doing something like that in someone's life. And so I think that creating community is a lot of things that marketing people just forget about. And we've tried not to. That Facebook group has been around for, I remember whenever it's been around for like 15 or 16 months. I remember when I first came to Parker and said we should do this. And I think I didn't even know what it was going to look like. I had no idea it was going to take off like this. And we were like, okay, I guess we'll give it a shot. Because at that time we had like Instagram posts and we had Facebook posts, but it's really hard to connect with your community. And I feel like a lot of marketing people just forget about that. And they're just in an echo chamber where they just post their little posts and just forget about the actual people that are on the ground and buying their stuff. And I hope that we never get away from that. And our plan has always been to be like that. The Instagram has grown immensely and we get tons of DMs and we get tons of, Facebook, everything. The amount of inquiries that we get are so insane, even email. But we try to always respond. All of our emails, we tell people, any marketing email that we send, we usually say something at the bottom like, feel free to email us if you had any questions or just want to say hi. And we read all of those. Like, people think that it's a general response. I see those. It's part of my morning routine. I come in and I probably have 40 a day. And it's important for me to always read those and show the ones to Granger that I know that he wants to see, or show the ones to Parker, because as soon as you don't do that, you lose touch with the people that are buying your product. And I feel like a lot of brands do that. So we're going to take a break and we'll be back in just a second. Thank you guys for listening to the first ever Yee Yee podcast. We just got done wrapping up our winter Yee Yee apparel launch. It's the first one we've ever done, and we are already getting ready for the spring launch. When's that spring launch again?
March 19th at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Central
Standard Time, March 19th. The spring launch. Get ready. And by the way, we're going to go ahead and drop some promo cards in here. If you go to yeeyeeapparel.com or yee.com and use the promo code Yee Yee Podcast, you're going to get 10% off your next order. However, there's a catch. There's only 10 of these available. So make sure you go use them now. The first 10 that are used will be able to get 10% off their next order. And after that, they're going to be gone.
So Hayden and I were talking about, today and what this launch means to us and how amazing the support was that we got. And it just got us thinking about where we were before this and what led us to this day and just how grateful we are. And it got me thinking about, so I went to Texas A&M and I graduated from A&M, and a lot of people ask what we did before this. So I was 100% going to go into, I was going to be a real estate agent. I was going to go into residential real estate, and I was going to sell houses. And I got an awesome internship when I was at A&M and was surrounded by a bunch of great guys that were huge into personal development that taught me a lot of the habits that I have.
Yeah, I remember you talking about
now. And they were probably one of the biggest influences on my life as a young man. And I had a full-time job lined up with them. And then at the time, Granger had just gotten his record deal, and Yee Yee had been rocking. This was back in 2016. Yee Yee had been rocking for 4 years or 4 or 5 years, probably 4 years at that point. But Yee Yee apparel didn't really exist. It was more just like merchandise for an artist.
Right.
And they had just released an energy drink, and that was all Tyler. And that was Yee Yee Energy's a whole nother thing. But Tyler basically, he wanted to do a drink and no one would partner with him. And he said, I'll just do it myself.
Right.
And so Tyler, literally with no distribution lined up or anything, was just like, screw it. Like, what's the minimum order quantity? And he had 100,000 cans sent to our warehouse in Hutto, Texas.
Which is the most Tyler thing ever, if you've gotten to know him at all.
Yeah.
He's been told no his entire life, and he just says, screw it, I'll just do it myself, which you got to love.
Yeah, Tyler is, if you tell Tyler no, then he's going to try to find a way to
right.
get it done. So, which is obviously apparent with Granger's career. Is Granger's entire music career was people telling him that he wouldn't make it, and giving every excuse in the book, and Tyler found a way to get him to where he is now, which is amazing. Anyway, all that being said, I graduated A&M, and they're like, we have this energy drink, and we need someone to sell it, and we need someone to grow the brand. And I'm a very conservative person. I'm not someone to take risks. I am now, but at the time I was very conservative versus Granger, who had a college education lined up and decided to take a chance and move to Nashville in the middle of college. Like, who does that? Who has that personality type?
Your parents were probably scared.
Yeah, but they supported him, thank God.
Yeah.
And then Tyler worked 1 year at a bank and was like, this is the worst thing ever. So they're both pretty similar in that they're rebellious, like ambition of, entrepreneurship. And I'd rather live a life taking a risk and never making it than wondering what would have happened, what if. So I came on in 2016 and was just started cold calling. I had no idea what I was doing. I was in there by myself.
God, I remember hearing stories about this when we were just friends. And golly.
Yeah, Granger and Tyler were just like, this is whatever you make it. So it was me, and then one other girl was doing customer service and shipping. It was just us two in there all day. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was just trying to use the Aggie Network, trying to set up meetings, and I set up a few meetings, but nothing really went through and never really got any traction. But Yee Yee Nation was strong, and we were able to sell through all of the energy drinks, but I never lined up. My goal was to get it in stores, and we never got in any stores. And
which is incredibly hard, especially in the energy drink market. And I'm not sure I can't speak for y'all because I wasn't there yet, but I'm not sure that we knew how hard it is. I mean, think about it. Before Bang Energy came along, it was really Red Bull, and then Monster was just kind of owning the market besides those two. I mean, there was no one. So you're making these calls, you're working at this time. How much would you say of your job was Yee Energy, and how much was Yee Apparel? Like, what percentage was?
Like 95% Yee Energy.
Man, that's crazy.
All I would do all day is get on LinkedIn and send cold emails to distributors, and no one would answer me. That's all I did all day. I hated my life. I was pretty depressed back then. I would literally just go to work, get cold called, get told no all day. And when Granger and Tyler were on tour, just absolutely killing it. That was Granger's touring like heyday when he was at Stagecoach and headlining huge festivals.
Yeah, it was shortly after Backroad Song and If the Boot Fits, and so there were a lot of great lineups that he was on.
Yeah, so I was living with Tyler, but he was on the road so much that I'd basically just go home to an empty house and then go to work with this one other girl who'd be there, and then just cold call, and then everybody would just say no to me, and then I'd go home, and it was like a really dark time.
You'd eat your little rice cake on the couch. Yeah. I remember you used to eat your little rice cake. You would put peanut butter on it. He would eat a rice cake at 8 p.m. and go to bed.
Yeah. So somewhere along the line, I realized that I was like, well, these shirts are selling pretty well, and Tyler would always talk about, man, back in the day we used to sell a lot of Earl Dibble shirts, and like those were the days. And so I started to very slowly reach out to some of our different vendors and think about some new shirt designs or hat designs. And our stuff was it was terrible. Like, we've come such a long way, but at the time it was good. And
a lot of y'all remember that too. A lot of people are listening to this and can say, wow, I remember those shirts. And a lot of people love them. But the quality's gotten better, and a lot of the designs have gotten, they have gotten better substantially.
Yeah, the shirt quality has gotten better, but the hat quality is just night and day, because hats are so hard. Hats are so hard to get good quality if you don't know the right people and you don't know what you're looking for and what to tell them. Because if there's anything I've learned in this job, it's when you want something, 95% of the time people are going to send you something, and if you just go along with it, it's going to be terrible. Like, you just get to the point where you realize that your standards are not the same as everybody else's if you want to have a successful business. And you're literally like, they're going to send you something, and the stuff that I used to just say yes, it would be like a patch that literally someone just grabbed the hat and ironed it on, and like there's just a huge crease in the middle, and that the patches would just peel off, and it was just awful. So I slowly started to dive more into the apparel side, and had no idea what I was doing.
What year is this about?
Probably 2017, like late 2017 was probably when I started to just like come out with new products, but it wasn't like a launch, and it wasn't like even seasonal then. It was just coming out with new products. And this was about the time where I basically just gave myself permission to look at what other successful brands were doing and gave myself permission to say, I don't know what I'm doing, and that's okay. And it's okay that I'm having to model and modify what other successful brands are doing, because that's what they did, and no one knows what they're doing at the beginning.
Whereas, I want to stop right there and highlight that, because that's so important, and that is like, no one will say, you won't hear a lot of business owners say that, and you won't hear a lot of people say that, and I know that this guy will, because I watch him on a daily basis obsess over the quality and what other brands are doing. And it's important to look at what other brands are doing, and we're not doing rocket science here. Like, I know that a lot of Yee Nation thinks that it is, but we're making hats and t-shirts, and there's a lot of people out there that make hats and t-shirts, but we do it better than them. And we're going to try to always do whatever we're doing better than them. And there's some great companies out there, don't get me wrong, but we do a lot of that better than other companies and a lot of our competitors because of this guy right here. He literally obsesses. And I guess you're kind of talking about this, about what goes into the product. But I mean, I will walk into his office at any time of the day and he's on different websites. And sometimes they're in our demographic. And then sometimes they're outside. A brand that both of us like, a lot of things that they do from the marketing standpoint is here in Austin, not too far from us, Outdoor Voices. And he's looking at their brand, and they make athleisure wear. And so it's nothing compared to what we're doing, but they do a lot of cool stuff, whether it be something small on their website that interacts with people or whatever. So I just wanted to highlight that you're able to say that you can step back and look at what other people do. Like, don't recreate the wheel. It's already been made, and a lot of companies have already done it well. We just try to pride ourselves on the little things. And so that's what you've done, I think, just an insane job of before I got here, but then I've even seen your personal growth and how you've done that since I've been here in the last 2+ years.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, man. Yeah. I love the saying that it's like the biggest day, I may butcher the quote, but it's like one of the most important moments in your life is when you realize that the most successful people on earth are no different than you or I. It's like, no one knows what they're doing at the beginning. It's just the people who give themselves permission to give themselves permission to just give it a shot. And I feel like I'm talking about myself too much and coming across narcissistic now. Like, we still have a long way to go, and we're nowhere near where I want to be. But back to my story. So this was like 2018. Like, I slowly started to dive in and create product and throw away product and then sell it. And then Tyler would approach me and be like, look, man, like, I want to make sure that you're happy here. And there came a time where both of my best friends are pilots in the Marine Corps, and really found a sense of purpose and meaning, which I think every young man, yearns for, is that purpose in their life of, what's it all for and what can I stand for that's greater than myself. And I think that's where you find, your fulfillment, because everybody just ends up in these jobs that, they hate, and they lose their sense of purpose and manhood. And so I was literally training for the Marine Corps PFT, or physical fitness test, and my best friend and I were going to go to OCS, which is Officer Candidate School, and I think that was summer of 2018 probably. And then I just prayed about it a lot and spent so much time thinking about it. And for whatever reason, I just decided that, I felt like God was just calling me to stay with my brothers and my widowed mom. And I knew that, I'd be away a lot if I had joined the Marine Corps. So I decided to stay and just kind of followed my heart, and felt like that I had unfinished business with Yee Yee, and that I had just pretty much failed at that point into everything that I'd set out to do, we hadn't accomplished. And so just kind of went back to the drawing board, and like I was saying earlier, just kind of gave myself permission to look at, what other brands are doing. How can I teach myself how to do this? And I just went all in, just watching YouTube videos and self-educating, and tried to figure out what other brands were doing that was successful and how we could get on their level. And there's no reason that, Granger, being a country music star, couldn't have a successful brand with me doing it full time. Mm-hmm. So just went all in on the apparel, really went for A+ quality and tried to keep it at a very high standard. And then Tyler always just being in my ear, being like, you know, we need to get to the next place. Whenever we get into our new office, we're going to have a whole row of offices. We're going to have a marketing department. We're going to have a full-time videographer. And we're going to have, you know, a customer service department. And then we're going to have all these shippers. And in my head, I'm just like, yeah, right, dude. We're not going to do that. Like, I was perfectly content just being where we were, having our one shipper, and then just like riding that out. But sure enough, as we sit here today, we have an entire row of offices in a multimedia room with our new full-time videographer, Brian, sitting right next to me. And, you know, 24 people on payroll now who are shipping our stuff out. So the slow growth leading up to like 2018. And then the biggest hire that we ever made was you. As the apparel was slowly growing and we were getting traction, you were in between jobs at the time. And we'd always joked about you being just a type A personality, just a go-getter. Never really knew what your role would be here in particular, but just know that you were one of the most emotionally intelligent, type A, energetic people that I know. And whatever you put your mind to, like whatever Hayden's doing, as people listening probably are part of the Yee Yee Nation Facebook group or know about Hayden, like he is very type A, like he's going to tell you what he thinks and he's not going to hold back. And we didn't really, it was one of the biggest risks that we took, because it was like, I'm going to hire my best friend from high school who has no experience. And I don't even know exactly what your role is going to be.
None.
But we brought you on, and then it completely changed. It completely changed the business. And I feel like that's almost a good ending segue for this first episode, unless we want to go a little bit more in depth than that. But I feel like we could do that in the next episode.
Well, no, it's just, this is, I mean, blah. You said everything right there. I remember I was at a job before that was a music tech company up in the DFW area. And I still keep in touch with a lot of those folks, and they're really great people. But I don't think it was a long-term fit for me. And I think that a lot, like I said, I keep in touch with them. I think that they could even say that. And I actually saw them at a show recently, and I hung out with a lot of those folks, and they're just really good people and doing some really cool things in the music industry. So can only say great things about them, but I just knew that it wasn't the best fit. And I remember I came into work I got there early this morning, and there weren't that many people in the office. And I remember one of the guys called me over, who was, one of the head guys, and he said, "Hey, can you bring your stuff and come with me?" And I didn't think much of it. Actually, he told me to leave my stuff on my desk. He said, "Hey, can you come with me real quick?" And I'll never forget. I walked into a room, and there were 3 people there, all 3 high up. And I just remember, whenever you walk into the threshold of the room and you immediately are like, "Oh no, I want to leave." I immediately wanted to backpedal, and I knew. And I sat down, and I think I teared up a little bit. It was emotional. Although I knew that the job wasn't a long-term fit, I really did like a lot of those people there. I thought that they were doing some, and still are doing some, incredible cutting-edge things in the industry. But it's the uncertainty, and I wasn't quite sure of my future, and music industry jobs aren't the easiest thing to come by in Texas. A lot of those people move to Nashville or LA or New York or Miami or whatever, and I didn't really want to do any of those things. So I got laid off, and I'll never forget driving home. It was a commute. It was about 45 minutes. I'll never forget driving home and just thinking, "Oh man, what am I going to do?" And with time, just the most insane timing, Parker called me, and we really hadn't spoken about this at all, like about me coming and joining the team here. But he called me, and the next day I drove down for an interview here, and I actually called someone that I knew in Austin and interviewed with them. I interviewed at the other place the next day, and then drove to the Yee Yee farm and interviewed with you guys. And I remember Granger putting me through the gauntlet. And Granger wanted to make sure that I wasn't just looking for a rebound job type thing, which totally understand. And at the time, I remember, like I said earlier, I was worried about getting out of the music industry, but it ended up, I took a chance, and I don't think I've ever looked back. And the last thing I'll finish with, speaking on that, is just how happy I am here and how much joy I've found in this job. Is the other day, Parker and I were hanging out with some friends watching football on a Sunday. And you know that time on Sunday where it gets like, I don't know if y'all watch football, but you got the 12 o'clock hour games and you got the 3 o'clock hour games. And those 3 o'clock hour games start winding down, at least in Central Time. And it's about 6:15, 6:30, that sun's starting to go down. And you start to get those Sunday scaries. And the Sunday scaries. And I remember every Sunday at jobs before really getting those. And you know what? I've been here 2+ years and I've never had Sunday scaries. And I remember the whole group that Parker and I were with were sitting around talking about, oh, I'm getting the scaries. And if you don't know what the Sunday scaries are, it's the anxiety about the time late Sunday where you realize the weekend's over, you have to go back to work. And I remember Parker and I driving home after that, and I looked over at him and I said, I don't think I've gotten the Sunday scaries yet since I've been working at Yee Yee Apparel. And Parker goes, I don't think I've gotten the Sunday scaries in years. And I know that's such a small thing, but if you've had the Sunday scaries and if you get them often, then you know exactly like what that feeling's like. And man, it's just been a blessing to not worry about that. Most Sundays, I cannot wait to go to sleep because I can't wait to be back out at the farm. I get the chance to work with a great team that I really, truly care about as people and truly give a damn about what we're doing here and what we're building, and I really believe in it, and I think that everyone here does, from the top to the bottom. And I think that we all are kind of on the same page, and we're building something cool here. So, yeah, I guess that's a good way to end it. And we thank y'all for listening to the podcast. Like I said, this is our first time. Like I said earlier, we don't know exactly what this podcast is going to look like. It won't always be Parker and I. We're just going to have fun with it. We definitely don't want to take this too seriously. And yeah, I mean, it's just going to be a good time. If you have an idea of anything for us to do, we've been reading some, we've been brainstorming some on what we should be doing and some ideas for different segments, or should we do a Yee Callers where we talk to people that are living the Yee life, some of our fans, and we bring them on the podcast, on the phone, or whatever. We're open to it. This is going to be y'all's podcast. However, we want to do something that is going to be interesting to y'all because ultimately y'all are the ones listening. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess that's the ending of our first podcast ever.
Hopefully we gave you some good background info, a little bit about us, a little about where we're at as a company. And, you know, I don't want every episode to be like that and don't think every episode will be like that. But for people who want to go back and listen to episode 1 and see who the heck we are and what we're doing, this would be kind of cool for us to look back on, and for, you know, whoever listens in the future to look back on. And then, like Hayden said, like, this is about you guys. So whatever you want us to talk about, let us know. And we'll get guests on. We'll take calls, like Hayden said, and keep it fun, keep it interesting, and it'll be the people's podcast. So we'll do whatever y'all want to do.
And if you aren't already following us on Instagram, go to @YeeYeeApparel and hit that follow button, and you're going to enjoy some good content. Oh, man, I groaned right as we're finishing the podcast.
Solid stomach growl.
Solid stomach growl. All right, thank you guys for listening. We'll see y'all next time.
See ya.